Outlander Season 7 left us breathless, but nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared us for that final twist. Just when we thought the storm had passed, the past reached out in the most unexpected, most heartbreaking way. Faith. The daughter Claire believed she lost forever might still be alive. And not only alive, but standing right in front of her without either of them knowing the truth. As we count the days until Outlander Season 8, the final season, the pieces are finally falling into place. And what they reveal will shake this entire story to its core, because if Faith lives, everything changes. Season 7 was a wild, chaotic storm of reunions, betrayals, war, heartbreak, and destiny. But underneath all of that, one storyline stood out not because it was loud, but because it whispered something that haunted us. Something that stayed with us long after the episode ended. That soft melody Frances murmured, the same one Claire once sang to her stillborn baby in Paris. That moment wasn't just a callback. It was a clue, and if you blinked, you missed it. But Claire didn't. You could see it in her eyes, the way her breath caught, the way the world seemed to stop just for a second. At first, she brushes it off. Maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe. She's imagining things, but then Frances mentions her mother's name, Faith. And it all begins to click. Let's rewind for a second. Back in Season 2, Claire gave birth to a baby girl in Paris, a child she never got to raise, a child she mourned for years. Faith was born still, or so we were told. And yet somehow Frances, the young girl brought to Jamie and Claire after her sister Jane's death, knows that lullaby. She knows a song that only Claire and her baby ever shared. That cannot be a mistake. And now, as we step into the final chapter of this epic tale, it's becoming clear Master Raymond, the mysterious healer with connections to time itself, may have saved Faith and hidden her away for reasons we can't yet understand. But why now? Why reveal this in Season 7 and not earlier? That's where things get even more complicated. Season 7 wasn't just about tying up loose ends, it was about cracking open new ones. John Gray's farewell, William's cold rejection of Jamie, Claire's sudden recovery after a near-death experience where she saw Master Raymond. These weren't just emotional beats, they were signs. Signs that something deeper is at play. Something tied to time, fate, and the children of this story. And if Frances truly is Claire's granddaughter, that means Faith lived. She grew up. She had a daughter of her own, and she kept her past a secret. This changes everything. It changes who Claire is. It changes how Jamie sees their legacy, and it makes us question every moment since Paris. What was real, what was hidden, and what still lies ahead. Frances isn't just another character. She's a symbol of lost time, stolen futures, and unfinished stories. And now, with only one season left, all those stories are converging into something massive. A final reckoning, a full circle moment that promises to be as devastating as it is beautiful. But here's the cruelest part. Jamie and Claire have no idea what's coming. Not yet. They feel the weight of something familiar in Frances. They sense it, but they don't understand it. At least, not fully. Not until Season 8, when the truth finally comes to light. And when it does, the emotional fallout could break them. Because how do you face the reality that your daughter didn't die, but lived a life of pain, silence, and abandonment? And how do you forgive yourself for not knowing? Outlander has always been about love time and impossible choices. But this might be the most impossible one yet. And if this theory is right, and the clues from the finale point in only one direction, then Outlander Season 8 isn't just the end of a story. It's the beginning of a revelation we've been waiting for since Season 2. Master Raymond has always been an enigma, more than just a healer, more than just a man. He was the first to suggest that Claire was one of them, a traveler through time. He called her Madonna spoken riddles and vanished just as quickly as he arrived. But what if Raymond's true role in Claire's story wasn't to heal her, but to save something far more precious? Her child. The night Faith was born was tragic, dark, and hopeless. Claire was told her baby didn't survive. But who controlled that room? The Comte Saint-Germain was lurking in the shadows. So was Raymond. What if that moment wasn't the end, but the beginning of a lie meant to protect something much bigger than Claire could imagine? Let's go back to Paris. Claire's labor was traumatic. She was unconscious. There was chaos, blood, and silence. In the confusion, anything could have happened. What if Raymond knew that keeping faith with Claire would endanger both of them? What if someone else, perhaps even the Comte in some twisted alliance, was closing in on Claire's bloodline for reasons still unknown? Raymond, being a traveler, might have seen the future. He might have known that Claire and Jamie's child needed to survive, but in hiding, and so he took her, or arranged for someone to take her. He would have had access to rare medicines, herbs, and even forbidden knowledge. And more importantly, he had motive. He cared for Claire. He saw her as more than a patient. He saw her as part of a greater design. Now think about Frances. Her resemblance to both Claire and Jamie is uncanny. She has that same intense gaze, that same strength, that same quiet wisdom. She speaks like someone from another time. And then there's the lullaby, the exact melody Claire sang to Faith in. Paris, a tune she never sang again. The moment Frances repeated it, everything changed. This wasn't coincidence. This was a breadcrumb, left for Claire and for us. Frances's mother, Faith, never spoke of her past. She kept it buried. Why? Because maybe she didn't know the whole truth either. Maybe Faith was raised believing she had no parents or that they died. Maybe she was told she had no future until her own daughter brought her back into Claire's life without realizing it. But here's where it gets even more eerie. Raymond once told Claire, "You and I, we are the same." He said they were connected through time. He could sense her energy. So why wouldn't he protect her bloodline if he knew it would one day impact history? We've always suspected that Raymond wasn't just a traveler. He was something more ancient, more powerful. The books hinted he was from the far past, possibly even prehistoric times. His knowledge of time travel predates the stones. He may be the original. That means he would have had the power and the foresight to remove Faith from a moment of death and place her in safety, somewhere distant, somewhere secret. And here's the real shocker. What if this twist isn't just about bringing Faith back, but explaining the true nature of the travelers? What if the whole reason Claire, Brianna, Roger, and even Galus could travel was because of Faith's survival? What if Faith was the key all along? It would make sense that her lineage plays a role in balancing time itself. The ripple effects of her survival could explain the anomalies we've seen. Time slips, ghostly visions, unexplained connections. Remember Jamie's ghost in episode 1? It was never fully explained. But what if that vision was tied to Faith's altered timeline? What if Jamie's soul knew what was missing all along? Outlander Season 8 is about to dive into the origins of time travel, the power of blood, and the secret war that's been fought silently behind the scenes. Raymond's part in that war is becoming clearer. He saved Faith. He set everything in motion. And now the reckoning is here. The truth cannot stay buried. Not when Faith is walking the earth again, unknowingly standing just steps from the mother who mourned her, and the father who never even got to say hello. When Brianna hears the name Faith, her world begins to crack. For her, the idea of having a sister was once a dream Claire had whispered to her long ago, a painful memory Claire never spoke of in detail. Now it's a storm, a shockwave, because if Faith is alive, if the sister Brianna believed was lost is actually walking among them, then everything Brianna believed about her childhood, her family, and her place in time begins to shatter. Why didn't her mother tell her? Why was this secret buried for so long? And worse, if someone hid Faith from them, what else has been hidden? What forces are playing with their lives across time? And why is the Fraser family always at the center of the chaos? This revelation doesn't just shake Brianna, it breaks Jamie. His guilt is immediate, overwhelming, and unstoppable. The moment Claire tells him the truth, or worse, the moment they both realize she didn't know the whole truth either, Jamie falls into a torment deeper than any war he's ever fought. He blames himself for sending Claire away, for not protecting their child, for never holding her, never seeing her eyes, never even saying her name. Jamie has carried loss before, but this is different. This is betrayal wrapped in grief, the kind of grief that rots the soul. If Faith has truly survived, then Jamie has to face the question, who kept them apart, and can he ever forgive them? But the tragedy doesn't stop at the emotional level. Time itself begins to react. That's the part no one expected. Travelers like Claire and Roger start to feel something off. Small moments in time begin to slip, days repeat. Visions blur into Dreams. Roger hears voices that haven't been born yet. Jemmy sleepwalks to the stones and whispers names from the past. Brianna's sketches, meant to record history, begin drawing themselves. The balance is collapsing. Why? Because Faith was never meant to die, and yet everyone believed she did. That lie fractured time in a way no one understood. Until now. And there's more. Geneva Dunsany's old journal, long forgotten, resurfaces with a strange drawing. A young girl with fire-red hair standing beside a cloaked man with glowing blue eyes. Claire sees it and trembles. The girl looks just like Francis. And the man? She's seen those eyes before, in Master Raymond. Why would Geneva, a woman long dead, draw a child she never knew? Unless time isn't a straight line at all, but a circle. A loop. And Faith is the missing link that completes it. Every action the Frasers have taken, every war, every escape, every birth, has been influenced by something they didn't even know existed. The survival of the daughter they thought they lost. Even the stones begin to behave strangely. They hum louder. They call not just to the travelers, but to the entire family. Jamie, a man who has never passed through time, begins to feel the pull. Is it because Faith is near? Or is the universe demanding something more? Another sacrifice? Because the truth is, time travel has always come with a price. And now that Faith is back, time may demand payment in love, in life, in blood. Outlander Season 8 isn't just about a reunion. It's about reckoning. The sins of the past are coming, back with a heartbeat. And as the Fraser family stands on the edge of revelation, they will have to face something far more terrifying than war or loss. The truth that time remembers everything. And it never forgets a stolen child. Everything starts pointing back. To one man, one shadow from the past that Claire thought was long gone, the Comte Saint-Germain. His name begins to surface in strange letters hidden in old manuscripts whispered by people who should have no memory of him. And yet his legacy seems more alive than ever. Claire had once believed he died in Paris. But Master Raymond had warned her, the Comte walks in shadows. What if he never truly died? What if he found a way, just like Raymond, to move through time? And what if he was never hunting Claire, but protecting something much more dangerous? A child. A secret child. A daughter who should not have lived and yet did. A child with Fraser blood and something more. Something ancient. The whispers grow darker when Claire finds a torn page from a centuries old prophecy hidden in the archives of Lallybroch. It speaks of the child born of two flames, the healer and the Highlander, who dies in light but lives in shadow. Jamie is stunned. Claire can barely breathe. Frances Faith? It's her. The prophecy wasn't just about time travelers. It was about her. The child who never belonged to one time, but all of them. The one who could open doors, shift fate, and bring the veil between life and death to its weakest point. Suddenly, the dreams Brianna has been having, of firestones and a girl calling her name, make terrifying sense. Frances isn't just their daughter. She's something more, a fulcrum, a pivot in history. And someone has always known that. The name Frances Beauchamp appears in documents from the 1700s, the 1800s, and shockingly, even the future. Roger finds an audio recording from the 1980s in the Reverend Wakefield's collection. It's grainy, almost broken, but the voice is unmistakable. My name is Frances. I was born twice and died once I'm trying to find my way home. Claire is shaken to the core. How could Faith have lived through so many lifetimes? Unless someone, maybe the Comte, maybe Raymond, had hidden her through time itself each time, wiping her memory, hoping to protect her from something even darker. But what? Then comes the reveal that breaks everything wide open. In a series of coded letters passed down through the Beauchamp family, Claire uncovers a message written in her grandmother's hand. The child you lost was never lost. She was hidden to protect the timeline. The Comte took her through the stones, but not out of cruelty, out of desperation. There is a war across time, Claire, and your daughter is at the center of it. That war, it seems, has already begun. The fabric of time is fraying. Places are disappearing. People are being forgotten. And Frances, Faith, may be the only one who can stop it. If she remembers who she is, The weight of this truth threatens to destroy Jamie and Claire. Their grief has turned into confusion, then fury, and now something worse. Dread. If they find her, what will she remember? Will she know them? Love them? Or will she see them as strangers who abandoned her to a fate she never asked for? Claire begins to fear that the faith she once held in her arms has grown into someone else entirely, someone shaped by time, betrayal, and hidden truths, someone who might not want to be found. And yet the clock is ticking, because the stones are waking, the skies are changing. And if the prophecy is true, Frances may be the only one who can close. The breach before time collapses for good. The world around them is starting to fracture. It's subtle at first. Missing dates, shifting timelines, people remembering events that never happened. But then, entire moments disappear. A battle Jamie once fought in is now just a myth. A patient Claire saved no longer exists in the hospital records. Even Bree starts seeing flashes of a life she never lived, one where she grew up with a sister with sad eyes and a voice that echoes through dreams. Frances Beauchamp is trying to reach them, but she's trapped in time, caught between centuries, between life and death. And the only way to bring her back is to risk everything. Master Raymond appears in a vision, his eyes glowing, his voice distant. He warns Claire, "The balance is breaking. You must return to the place where it all began. That place is Cray na Dun, the stones, the beating heart of the time travel mystery." Claire and Jamie realize that the only way to find faith is to go back into the vortex of time to risk being torn apart again. But this time, they won't be alone. Roger, Bree, and even William insist on going too. The family once scattered is now united by one impossible mission to find Frances before time swallows her completely, before the past erases the future. When they arrive at the stones, the wind howls louder than ever. The sky is red. The ground vibrates. The veil is thinner than it's ever been. And then she appears. Not as a child, not as a ghost, but as a young woman lost, confused, and glowing, with a strange energy. Frances. She doesn't remember Claire or Jamie. She doesn't remember her death. All she knows is that she's been hunted across centuries by shadows. Men who want to use her power, who fear what she can become. And worse, she knows that stepping through the stones again could kill her for good. The prophecy is clear, Machimep. Child born of fire will survive only once more. One last crossing. One last chance. Claire's heart breaks. Jamie's face crumbles. How do you convince your own daughter to come home when home is nothing but pain and questions? But then Frances looks at Bree. She sees the sister she's only ever known in dreams. And something clicks. A memory of a lullaby. A whisper in the dark, a flash of red hair and a man's voice calling her Monaghan Dawn, and she remembers. She remembers Claire's voice, Jamie's strength, a family she never truly lost, only forgot. Tears stream down her face as she takes Jamie's hand and calls him Da. But time does not forgive easily. As they step through the stones, someone tries to stop them. The Comte, not evil but desperate. He believes Frances must stay in the past to preserve the balance. Claire begs him to see reason, to let love fix what time has broken. In a final, shocking act, the Comte sacrifices himself to close the rift behind them. And as the stones fall silent, Frances opens her eyes in modern Scotland, alive, whole and home. But Outlander Season 8 doesn't end with peace, because in the distance, another power is rising. A war between time travelers, a prophecy that may yet come true, and a question that haunts them all. If Frances could return, who else can? And what price will they pay next?